Ooh, today's gonna be exciting. We're gonna be showcasing your brilliant smart home automations. That's right, today's video is all about the clever, creative, and some just straight genius ways you've been automating your smart homes. I got submissions from all around the world, and I'm super excited to share these with you today to hopefully give you some more ideas for automating your smart homes. Let's go. Sponsored by Eve. Yo, what's up guys? My name is Shane and this channel is all about helping you build an easy Apple home, smart home. We drop new videos and live streams every week, so make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss anything. We've done this before on the channel. It's been a couple of years, so I thought it was time to reach out once again and see how you are automating your smart homes. And let me tell you, every time I ask you guys to submit your automations, you never cease to amaze me. For me, the real magic for smart homes has always been in the automations. Now, whether it's to save energy, improve security, or just adding a touch of magic to your day, these automations show some of the true benefits of having a smart home. Now, some are simple, some are complex, but they're all awesome and solve a real purpose. Now, first up, Claudia is using multiple Aqara FP1E sensors, presence sensors, to turn on her Philips Hue lights when occupancy is detected in her living room and kitchen. These lights will then turn off when there has been no occupancy for a minute. This is simple, but I think it's a very effective way to handle those motion automations that can sometimes be so tricky to set up and get just right. A presence sensor is great for something like this. I'm currently using the FP1E also in a very similar way in my laundry room to automate those lights on and off. And while we're on the topic of presence sensors, Juan is using an Aqara FP2 presence sensor underneath the bed. This is pretty interesting. I don't think I would have ever thought to put an occupancy presence sensor down there like this. I probably couldn't even if I wanted to. I have too much crap under my bed, so I'd have to clean up before I could do that anyways. He's using this sensor to not only detect motion, but thanks to the zone capabilities of the FP2, he's also able to detect which side of the bed has motion at any given time. So he has two Aqara light strips, one on each side of the bed, and the automation will light up whichever side detects motion, basically. So he said his wife and him go to bed and get up at different times. So this is a great way to provide a little bit of light so they can see in the dark without waking one another up. Now I really like how he set this up so that when you move from one side of the bed to the other, the first light goes off and then the other one comes on. This is really cool. It makes it look like the light is kind of following you. He said he's even considering adding a third strip for the foot of the bed, which I think would make that effect look even better than it already is. Well done. I really love what Jay has done for his girlfriend. He basically modified an entertainment center for their cats. They needed a place to hide their cat's litter box from their two dogs, but also wanted, to make it look nice, both for themselves, I imagine, as well as for their cats. They wanted a place that their cats felt safe, for when the dogs were still around. So using some IKEA furniture and a neat little cat hole cutout purchased from Amazon, he modified the furniture so that the cats could enter from the side and make their way to their own little private litter box far enough from the opening to avoid being too close to those nosy dogs. But of course the magic is with the automations that he set up. When a cat enters the cabinet initially, a motion sensor turns a light strip to a very dim setting, so it's not too bright, when it's being used at night. It automatically turns off after 5 minutes. Then there is a contact sensor located on the last door where the litter box is located. So when the door is open, the light strip turns on to a max brightness. That way they have plenty of lighting when it's time to scoop the litter box. And to top it all off, he set up a push notification in the Aqara app that says there's a kitty when the motion sensor detects one of the cats. Again, super creative and practical here. Love it. YouTube channel member Frederick is using a contact sensor on his attic door so that when he lowers the stairs, the light in the attic comes on automatically, and when he closes it, the light turns off on its own. Simple, yet super practical and effective. I love it. Frederick says he's using an Aqara contact sensor on the door and a Lutron Caseta smart switch for the light in the attic. And I think we saw, can we run that back? Yeah, an Eve flare box right there in his attic. Great taste, Frederick. I do think the Eve flare is one of the coolest products. I've got one right back there in the studio. I actually have a couple of them in my house. It's a cool portable globe light. It's even waterproof, so you could take it out to the backyard or take it out by the pool if you want. And maybe the best part, no charging cables. Just set it on the wireless base to charge. Big thanks to Eve for sponsoring today's video and making all this possible. Eve has been one of my longtime favorite brands when looking for quality smart home products. They just updated the Eve light switch to support Matter. With Matter support, you can add the light switch to any smart home ecosystem, so that's great if you're a multi-platform household. And with the days getting shorter, you can schedule the lights to turn on to wake you up in the mornings or automate them to turn on when motion is detected using the Eve Motion. There's a really cool automation utilizing an Eve Motion at the end of this video, so stick around for that. The Eve light switch, as well as the Eve Motion, and most of Eve's product lineup support Matter over Thread, which is a very responsive, reliable, and energy efficient wireless protocol. All you need is a home hub that runs Thread like a HomePod Mini or an Apple TV. So check them out and use code Shane15 to save 15% through October 6th. And don't take it from just me. Like I said, you're going to hear about some more cool automations today from other people that are also using Eve products in their smart homes. Speaking of Eve, Raul set up an automation to turn on and off his garden water station, which is powered by, you guessed it, an Eve Aqua water controller. He's using an Aqara smart button as a convenient way to turn the Eve Aqua on and off. This is really great. Now the Aqara button is not rated for outdoor use, but Raul says he's been using it under that table there in Southern California since March. And so far it hasn't had any issues. So definitely deals with some heat there, but not too cold in Southern California. Channel member Brian has a great idea for automating a battery charging station. Brian is a photographer and his goal for this automation is to avoid overcharging his camera batteries and to also get an alert when they are all done charging. And to do this, he's using a standard power strip plugged into an Eve Energy smart plug. He's able to turn everything on using an Aqara mini switch located by the charging station. And from there, Brian is able to monitor the energy usage from that Eve smart plug in Home Assistant. He then created an automation that turns off the smart plug when the charging station's power drops below a certain wattage. He also gets a notification on his iPhone telling him that all his batteries are done charging. I like this idea. I have a similar charging station like that in my studio closet here, so maybe I'll explore this automation a little bit myself. Nice job, Brian. Alec is also using Home Assistant to create notifications to let him know when his washer and dryer cycles are done. He's using Casa smart outlets to measure the wattage, and when it dips below a certain threshold, he will get a notification letting him know that the cycle has been completed. And he said it used to take him a full day to do laundry since he'd start first thing in the morning and then forget about it halfway through the day, which I totally get that. But with this automation, he's done with laundry by noon, so that's awesome. He also keeps an iPad next to his desk, always open with Home Assistant on, which will allow him to see, at a glance which appliances are running and how much wattage they're using at any point during the day. Edgar from the YouTube channel Edgar's Home Tech is doing something similar for his laundry, but instead of push notifications, he wanted voice announcements coming through his HomePods throughout the house to notify them when the laundry is done. And to do this, he's using, well, I'll just let him tell you.
So for this to work, I obviously needed a reliable smart plug with power consumption, and what a better choice than the Eve Energy, right? And on top of that, I had to use two different tools, HomeBridge for virtual switches and the PushCut app for the intercom messages. First, I pressed the mini switch, which then turns on both the smart plug and a virtual switch that checks the power consumption every 5 minutes. If the power usage isn't right, the switch continues until the washer is done. And that triggers another switch to turn on, and I get an alert right away on my HomePod like this.
Hey, the washer is done. Please check me.
And that one is thanks to PushCut. If we haven't walked into the laundry room within 10 minutes because of that switch that turned on, I get a reminder alert.
Hi, I'm still waiting for the washer to be changed. Please come soon. Goodbye.
And the alert continues every 10 minutes until I'm detected by this motion sensor right over here. Man, this automation was a mess to set up, but in the end, it earned me some precious points with my girlfriend, especially when she's super busy at work and sometimes she forgets to go check the laundry.
Always great when you can use smart home automations to get those extra brownie points. Timothy is using a few automations to help him with his home office during the workday. He has a light strip that turns green when the door is opened. It also turns a light just outside of his office green when the door is open. And when the door is closed, it will turn both of those lights red. Timothy says this is great for letting his family know when he's in a meeting or doing something important like coding, and this all happens only during working hours. Now, I'm a big fan of using lights in this way, sort of as like status indicators for your smart home. I did a whole video on setting up these sort of like status notification automations. I'll put a link to that up here somewhere or down below in the description if you want to check that out later. Pascal from the French YouTube channel PamaKit shared some cool automations. The first one is a personal automation for waking up each day. When he snoozes his morning alarm, it will turn on the bedside lamp to a very low light level and begin playing the radio on his phone. Then when the alarm is stopped for good, it will set a morning scene that also turns on various HomeKit accessories throughout the house. Another cool one he shared combines CarPlay with HomeKit, where Siri will give him a status report of his home when he connects to CarPlay.
Toutes les fenêtres sont fermées. L'alarme est désactivée. La porte d'entrée n'est pas verrouillée.
If you don't understand French, basically Siri is telling him if the windows are closed, if the doors are locked, and if the security system has been armed or not. It only works when he is close to home, and it will end with launching his favorite playlist in Apple Music. One of my personal favorite automations is also using like a Siri announcement kind of like this when I connect to CarPlay, so I like this one a whole lot. I'll link a video down below also where we did dive a little bit deeper into setting something like that up with CarPlay and those Siri HomeKit announcements. Al submitted a few automations. I can tell he's really having a blast with his smart home. He also has a large family, so he's having to accommodate and think about everyone in his house when creating automations, which can be a challenge in of itself, but it looks like he's doing a great job with all that. His wife loves one automation in particular. This turns on a heater in the wintertime when someone sits on a certain section of the couch.
If I sit down right there in that section, see that? The heater turns on. So in the wintertime, wife loves it. Instead of having to come in, turn the heater on, bending over, it just automatically turns on.
This is really awesome. He also has lights in the living room, including an Eve flare that turn on when someone enters.
And like you, Shane, I love the Eve flare. I use it. I've had this for a while, and it's awesome.
And when everyone leaves the room, everything, including that heater, will turn off. Al's large family also likes to know when he's coming home, so he created another really cool automation that will trigger a specific lighting effect on his Aqara ceiling light once he gets within 15 minutes of the house.
And see that? That's the Aqara ceiling light. And so once that goes, it'll go for like 30 seconds or so. People know that I'm almost home.
Brian is using home automation to care for his houseplants, which is a challenging endeavor for many people. He's using 2 topo cameras in order to constantly monitor the plants, a smart plug for controlling a GE grow light, and a switchbot humidifier to help regulate the humidity in the room, especially in the winter months. Brian says this has greatly helped him improve care for his houseplants regardless of the time of year. He also says that in the future he plans to test out smart soil meters and watering systems that can be tied into HomeKit. This Brian is also a channel member, and a few of us have actually been discussing this some in my members Discord server recently. By the way, you can click on that join button down below for more information on how you can become a channel member and check out all those perks that you would get with that membership if interested. Felipe has a presence sensor to turn on his ceiling light and changes an Aqara M1S hub light to green in the hallway, letting others know that he's there and available. He's also using an Aqara vibration sensor under his chair that triggers his MacBook to wake up and unlock without having to use an Apple Watch or something like that, by the way. And this automation also turns on his AC via a smart outlet. But my favorite part about Felipe's submission is a shell script that he wrote and runs on his Mac via Apple Automator. This script monitors his camera feed, and if at any point Felipe turns on his webcam, which is usually used for meetings, it triggers an Apple shortcut to turn on the backlight, which is a Nanoleaf Essentials light strip behind his webcam, and it also changes the color of that Aqara M1S hub to red in the hallway so that people know he's in a meeting. And of course, when he turns off his webcam, the backlight turns off and the Aqara M1S changes back to green. Very, very cool here. Now he's using a combination of many things, including HomeKit, Homebridge, Automator, and shortcuts to accomplish this, but wow, just really great. It really makes me want to step up some of my automations here in the studio for live streaming and recording and stuff like that. I guess I need to get to work. Gage from the iGageIt YouTube channel is doing some cool stuff with a Lutron Caseta Pico remote.
So I have one of these mounted on my wall next to my living room, and normally it just controls the hallway lights, but in the center right here there's a special button where if you use Homebridge or Home Assistant, you can map these buttons to do whatever you want. So I have it where if I press it once, it will turn on my living room lights. They're Philips Hue and Nanoleafs, and if I press it again, if two of the lights are on, it will turn everything off, including my Apple TV and Samsung TV. So when I'm going to bed, I use this all the time because it's right next to my bedroom. I will just click this little center button and it will turn off all the lights in the living room, including the TV.
Now, what good is smart home tech if you can't use it for a little friendly competition during football season? Benny has some DIY lights showcasing his and his wife's favorite teams. Since they are a house divided, they were only allowed to turn on the light for their team if their team won their most recent game. Well, of course, he found a way to automate this using Home Assistant. There's actually a few automations and some code and everything he has set up to make all this work, but of those automations, one is triggered to turn off the lights when a game starts. Another automation is triggered once a game ends, and as you would expect, will only turn on if the corresponding team won. This is all being done through some Home Assistant coding and magic there to kind of check when the games start and who won and all that kind of stuff. But we're at a really cool idea here to have a little extra fun with your smart home. Now, have you ever gotten a notification on your phone that someone rang the doorbell while you're not home, and by the time you tap on the notification and manage to get a connection to see the stream, the person that rang the doorbell was already gone? James from the YouTube channel Home is Where the Smart Is came up with a pretty wild solution to this. Check this out.
So I set up a flag in my Home Assistant, which I enable when I get a notification from the courier saying that I'm the next stop, and then the fun really begins. It starts from when a delivery person walks up to the front door, and an Aqara P1 motion sensor detects them, lighting up some twinkly dots on the front door in the shape of an arrow pointing at my doorbell, because apparently it's not obvious enough on its own to all delivery people. Then a combination of my Reolink PoE doorbell and the custom-built e-ink display on the front of the door guide them through the process of unlocking the front door so that they can leave the parcel inside. When the door opens, a third reality contact sensor will detect that the door has been opened and turn on the nearest bulb, allowing them to see what they're doing when they place the parcel inside, take their delivery photo, and then when the door closes, the e-ink display will update with a new message, the door will lock again, the light will turn off, and the delivery will have been handled entirely automatically while I'm away from home, without needing a good enough signal to connect to my video doorbell. I have managed to take multiple deliveries completely automatically since, and I absolutely love it.
That one is crazy on many levels. Wow. Well done. Tony was facing a real problem. His yard was being completely overrun by raccoons. Look at all these raccoons, this is crazy. Well, Tony got real creative and utilized some clever smart home automations to deter his little furry friends. He used a total of 3 Aqara vibration sensors. One is in a waterproof box that he placed on a mouse bait trap that he says the raccoons like to play with all night long. The second one is tethered to the fence where they usually gain access to the yard. And the third vibration sensor is in another waterproof box attached to the back of his waterfall, where he says they also like to play. And on top of that, he's got an Eve motion sensor attached to the tree that will cover, motion in the open part of the yard. Now he has 2 of the Govee Triad floodlights and an outdoor strip light back there. If any of those sensors detects motion or vibration, his automation will turn on the lights to full blast and start the sprinklers. As you can see, this does appear to work like a charm. And if that wasn't enough, Tony decided to add a siren that is connected via a Lutron Caseta outdoor plug. Now, the raccoons not only get blasted with light and water, but also a loud siren. Truly incredible. This is awesome. And what I really like is that Tony is using his backdoor smart lock as a condition for this automation. So all of this stuff only happens when motion is detected at night and the door is currently locked. That way, if he's, entertaining friends at night or something like that on the back porch, he's not, blasting his guests with water and blinding light and sirens and all that stuff. What I love about these automations is that they solve real everyday problems and they're customized to fit individual lifestyles. Remember, the best automation is the one that works for you. In fact, sometimes the simplest automations can make the biggest difference in your daily life. Now, which of these automations was your favorite here today? Are you inspired to try any of them in your own home? Or do you have an awesome automation that you'd like to share? Drop a comment down below and let's keep this conversation going. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. I do weekly live streams right here on YouTube where we dive deep into all things HomeKit and smart home. It's a great place to ask questions and just geek out with other smart home enthusiasts. I'll also link to our past viewer automation videos down below in case you want to check those out. There are some pretty great ideas in those videos as well. Big thanks to everyone that submitted an automation today. There were a few YouTube and TikTok channels, so I'll put links to everyone that I can down below in the description. Thanks again to Eve for sponsoring today's video. Links to their awesome smart home products are down below as well. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, your smart home is only limited by your imagination. I'll see you in the next video.